happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. This show is sponsored by or brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place where you can find items and have a conversation about being a better you. One thing that is there that I mention on the daily is that we have our U cards, and our U cards are intention setters and a game. And I set the intention for today's conversation, and my I am card is I am enough, and my you are card was you are lovable, and my code card for this conversation is before I formed you in the womb I knew you. And that's from Jeremiah 1:5 from the scriptures, the Christian scriptures. There's a couple announcements that I was kind of figuring out how I'm going to announce it. Or maybe I'll just do a separate video about how the show is going to be taking on in August. But so I just get kind of worked up about that, and it's like one day it's not going to bother me at all, but today it does. So um, I'll just introduce our word. Our word for today is impact, and it's an interesting word for me because I've used it before. I've tried to use it in a business opportunity or something, and now it shows up totally different for me. So I don't use it as much. And so as I do, I invite one of my friends to come in and have a conversation on one word. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this is the time where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
Yeah. So, Bill, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is such a great opportunity just to be able to talk with you. I haven't talked with you in a while. And so it's nice to just be able to connect and have a conversation around this one word that really means a lot to me. So I look forward to sharing some of that. But I'm Terri Watkins. I am the chief idea catcher and founder of Spin Frogs Marketing. I'm a marketing consultant and forensic marketer by trade. So, what that means is I help small businesses find the pitfalls in their marketing, help them pivot their budget, and reallocate some of that funding into programs that are going to be much more successful and impactful for them and for their business and for their community. Impact is the key word, but I
Right.
kind of am embodying impact in that my singular focus is helping to grow communities, and you do that by having the right impact or the right messaging with the businesses that are residing within those communities. And when you have a small business win, when a small business wins, an entire community wins because they get to put people to work, they get to do nonprofit work that they care about, and they get to provide their products and services to the people that want it the most within that community. So everybody wins, and that's what I'm all about at Spin
Oh,
Frogs.
oh, wonderful. And I see your friend right over your shoulder there. That
Yes.
I'm the turtle guy, right? And you're the frog, right? You like trucks, so it's like it's kind of great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned within your introduction there that impact is a large part of what you do. But so, how does impact land for you?
So for me, I've had a lot of conversations with people about impact sounding very aggressive.
Hmm.
And I guess in a way it probably could, but for me it's more gentle. For me it's more celebratory in nature.
Right.
When you have impact, what you really have is connection.
Hmm.
If you are looking to develop a relationship with somebody, you're not just looking to have a fair weather relationship, you're looking to have an impact on them. You want to shift them in some way. You want to help them better understand you or see a possible future. Any kind of relationship that you have has the potential of having a positive impact or a negative impact. It just
Right.
depends on how you enter that relationship. And so for me, I looked at impact as a word that really describes the depth of the relationships that I'm looking to have with the individuals within the community. And that's why I think I embody it so much, because for me, it's all about how can we connect to make ourselves better, to make each other
Right.
better as a community and grow together. And when you grow together, you're naturally shifting and changing things, which leaves an impact.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I really get that, but like you mentioned, I have I guess the negative side of it, or a side that is not as it's not workable. Let's just use that. It for me it feels like there is not just an intention, but there is I am trying to force my will onto something. I am trying to engage something on a level with a desired outcome, right? I am making an impact for me. It kind of moves that, and it's like I totally get it for within business. You want to leave an impression. You want to kind of have them be remembered. But I think for me there was most of the times when I was growing up, an impact was this violent or this anger. This was something that just came upon me.
Mm,
It was somebody's emotions impacted me. Someone's fears impacted me. You know what I mean? There were so
mhm,
many other things associated with impact for me that I really kind of didn't want to be in environments where I felt that someone was trying to dictate their will over me or dictate, have me go another way or something. And so like I said, I've been working on that. And because I look at, I don't know if you can see in the back, I, I, the artwork that I have there, I look to be an influence and instead of causing an impact. It's
mhm,
like for me an influence is just I'm here and people have a choice to take me or leave me. Right, they have a choice to kind of do that. Impact, they're gonna have to deal with me for that's how I mean it's like, and so that's how it shows up for me. So I've been told that I overthink things, but
I
so
think that's more the traditional definition, right? I mean, when we think of impact, we think of like impact theory, or we think of like a car accident, or
right,
the mission to Mars, where you're having an impact on the planet, or so when you think impact, you automatically think of those things.
right,
I guess for me, I live in a world where I see the other side. And I'm
right,
not saying that those things aren't a relevant definition. I'm just saying that there are two definitions. And
right,
I think impact can have a positive uh, repercussion just as well as it can have a negative one.
right,
And so for me, my focus is how can I help the community? How can I help the small businesses? How can I help the individuals that I have relationships with
right,
experience the other side of what impact can mean? And I hope that everybody I come in contact with, that I leave an impression on,
right.
but isn't leaving an impression another word for impact?
Right. Well, I guess
Yeah.
it is a gentle impact. The impression. I work hard to not stay in the space of good and bad, and because I can, one day this is good, the next day it's bad. It's like I always say, I say it a lot, but it's like, when it comes to like self care,
Mm,
it's like there's a fine line between self care and like goofing off, right? you know, and so it is for me that there are some times when I'm resting and I'm like, really just kind of recharging, that it's good. I'm getting back to everything. And there's sometimes it's like, dude, get to work. It's like, and so there's a
Stop goofing
good.
off.
Right. There's a good and bad to that. So the more that I am just aware of when I'm doing it. So, when I look at impact and I think of the great work that you're doing and how you're transforming a lot of businesses and communities and people, because first the impact has to be with the person, right? The business owner. And then that translates into their business. And then that translates into the community, right?
Exactly.
And so it is that personal connection, that relationship that really causes them to see how they can be an impact and where they can be an impact. So I totally get it. It is just at that point, and I think one of my core values is independent, right? Independent or independence or something. And so there is always this question: is am I doing this because I want to do this, or because I'm being influenced, or someone is making me do this? Someone's forcing this on me. Do I feel? And so because I'm always asking that question for myself, I'm looking at the impacts of my life. I'm looking at the things that are bumping up against me trying to live my life. And like I said, it's good or bad, or it's just the way I am.
Mhm.
And so really recognizing when I feel like I'm in control and out of control because of the influences, or the impact. I think I just use influences more than impact, because I just don't, even though it's like
You
it
said a
feels
lot.
the same, it's just it just feels like I want to like soften the blow, the impressions, right? Maybe it's just the
Maybe.
impressions, or so
Well,
I
and
don't know.
I think I look at impact too as what kind of impression do you want to leave? The impact is the impression, right?
Right,
So if the impact is the impression, you can leave a negative impression on somebody or you can leave a positive one.
right,
And when we're dealing with small business owners in the small business community as a marketing person, we're looking at what what do you want your story to be? That
right,
story is your impact. How
right,
that story connects and relates and lifts other people up is your impact that you're having. Or if it doesn't, then that's the impact that you're having, right? You can have
right,
one or the other. And it's not that there is necessarily the dichotomy where it can only be one or the other. It's just often perceived as one or the other.
right,
Right. Especially in our world, we have a lot of dichotomy that is perceived and not a
right,
lot of, well, it's both, actually.
right,
And so looking at a small business owner and saying, hey, okay, one of the things that we talk about a lot is like, why? Why do you do what you do? And I
right,
know people have heard this before, right? Simon Sinek made it very popular with the Start With Why book. And
right,
when people talk about why all the time, I ask them why because I want to know where their heart really is.
right,
And when I can identify where their heart really is, now I can identify nonprofits in the area that they can partner up with and support through
right,
events or donations or different things that gives them a really positive exposure and allows them to have a lasting legacy. So I also look at impact as a legacy. What kind of legacy are you leaving?
right,
And so if we can create a partnership like that, then they can have a better, more beautiful legacy because they get to share their story in a really different way.
right. I think and I think I like that, and I get that more, the lasting impact and the legacy. Do you think some of the conversation that you have within that why conversation about what's important, or why they're doing what they're doing, is reframing, or possibly reframing, what impact means to them? Do you understand? Because if that word, that one word, kind of is a negative thing. It's like, okay, who is this woman that's trying to, kind of force something on me, type of thing. Do you think some of that kind of gets in the way of people really embracing how they're impacting their audience or their community?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have things in our past or our life experiences that teach us what the definitions of words mean to us. You can
Right,
have a Webster dictionary, and the dictionary is going to tell you what that word means,
right,
but what it means to you comes through your own personal experiences.
right,
And so being able to identify, okay, this word really does have some block for me. Like there's just some block, there's just something that is making me not resonate with it.
right,
And we I always recommend them talk to a coach to identify what that block is,
right,
because it's important that they know that that block could single-handedly be the thing that's holding them back from where they're trying to go. So
right,
we need to identify what that is. And a life coach is great at doing that. So I have several life coaches that I could be like, you might want to talk to one of my life coach friends and just see if we can identify what that block is and
right,
why it's there. And maybe we can get rid of it when we identify it. When we shine that flashlight on it, it goes away. Right.
right, right,
Um, and then other times, if they're not open to that conversation, then it's like, okay, we won't use that word. Then we'll use something like impression or legacy. And then that way it resonates more with them. Because
right.
language is unique, right? It resonates
Right.
differently with everybody.
Yeah, and and I use I guess the title business life coach, right? And how I break that apart is that I have business conversations with a listening for your life. Because most of the times when we don't show up in our work, right? It's because of how life occurs to us and what we make it mean or what it's doing and not doing. And it's like sometimes I the reason why a lot of my conversations talk about the self and their self discovery is that who am I in my life, right? Who am I in my work? And I think the more that we understand our place, what we enjoy, we were talking about earlier about the things that you love and the things that you don't love, and sometimes as business owners or as people entrepreneurs, there's things that tasks that need to be done that it's like I hate this, right? And it's like instead of just staying in that space of dis-ease, you find someone who loves that to take care of those numbers or some things or the other things, and too often, you know some of the people that I coach, they have little awareness of who they are, but they'll tell you the jobs that they've had, they tell you where they grew up, they tell all the other things, but who they are within those or who they have become because of those things, there is just no awareness of.
Yeah.
And so I believe within that, we really can't make the impact that we want. We really can't make the influence that they want because there's not an awareness of ourselves. And so it is something for me, and like I said, I don't know if this is a question I'm asking for myself or asking you to share it, but sometimes when I think of impact, it feels like it has to be this big thing. It's a big impact. It's not just a little impact or a small impression. It is so. I'm gonna like come out of the gates. I'm gonna do this post, and I'm gonna go viral. And then when it doesn't go anywhere, it's like I
Wow.
suck,
It's
right?
touching. Yeah.
Right,
So I think it's important to put that in perspective, right? You can have impact if you make 1% change. That 1% is an impact,
right,
right? So it doesn't have to be you don't have to have an impact the size of Texas. You only have to have an impact that is 1%. Well, how
right,
big is 1%? Well, it depends on what the item is that you're talking about or what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right?
right,
So if it is a self awareness, And I think our world right now is really coming into an awakening, a self-awareness of where they are and who they are and what they represent,
Right.
and being aware of what that representation means to others and
Mm,
how we communicate those differences, I think is a
mm,
really, that's really the movement that's happening on a national and worldwide scale right now, I think.
right. Right.
And the 1% change is becoming that 1% more aware of who you are and what you believe in, that 1% becoming more aware of what that means to somebody else, and becoming that 1% more aware of what that difference actually means and
Mm,
how good that can be, because we all can't be the same person. We
right.
wouldn't be able to grow or accomplish anything if we were all the same person. Those differences, those little differences of who we are as individuals,
Right.
is necessary for our whole world to grow and to work together and to do amazing things. We can't do amazing things by ourselves.
Right.
We need
Yeah.
other people. And so why do we need other people? Because other people have other skills, like you were talking about.
Yeah. I really get. I think a couple of weeks ago is what was it exactly? I sometimes I make like grandiose statements, and one of the statements were the only way that you can be seen and heard in this busy world is to be yourself.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the only way. And it's like too often we try to, I'll speak for myself. I've tried to be like other people, right? I've tried to be other, my mentors or people that I felt that are successful. And I wonder why it worked for them, but it didn't, it's not working for me because it's not me, right?
Yeah.
They've already done it. They already made their millions by doing, all that kind of stuff. When am I going to be brave enough to be myself and put my voice out, and be myself? That's the only way that we can be seen and heard.
It is.
And and sometimes I think we're conditioned to believe this other, this other way of showing up. And so, and I think that's, again, that's why it's in incredible about the work that you're doing of helping people really identifying why and what they're up to so they can make the biggest impact that they need to make, not just for themselves but for their business and their community. And I
Well, they
think
have to
too.
own it. They have to
Right.
own it. Because when you own it, now you develop a confidence, right?
Right.
If you don't own it, you don't have any confidence in it. And then it's way harder to stand. It's like standing on a house of cards if you don't have
Right.
any confidence. And so
Hmm.
if you don't have any confidence and you're standing on a house of cards, all it takes is a stiff breeze and you're not standing anymore.
Right.
So when you identify that why and you're able to really own that, and that you know that this is what you stand for and why you stand for it, it's not about being aggressive about it. It's not about saying, I need to persuade everybody to see it my way. That's not what it's about. It's
Right.
about knowing why you care so much and then finding a way to help other people understand you through
Right.
the language that you're using. Yeah. And like your friend, Precise Pauling is talking about, you've got to stand in your lane and use those proven systems and structures to help complement your vision. You're absolutely right. Impact is knowing your soul's purpose,
Right.
and then using the tools, the technology around you to help you accomplish what that soul's purpose is, developing relationships with other people to help you accomplish that. If your soul's mission aligns with somebody else's soul's mission and what they can do is something you
Right.
don't want to do, well, now
Right.
together you can
Right.
create a community. Together you can create a legacy. Together you can leave an impact that
Right.
resonates with your soul's mission.
Right. And no, I totally get that. I've recently done some soul work, and it was fascinating to, I don't want to say how connected I was to my soul, right?
Mhm.
Because there, I don't know about you, but it's a busy world, right? You know, And it's a busy world up
It's
here too,
busier
right?
every day. Oh,
Right,
it's
right. You
busier up there.
know. So it's like I got stuff happening out here, I got stuff happening here, and now the more that I listen to what's happening here in my heart, the more that comes out of my mouth. That comes out of my mouth, and I realize, through the some soul work that I've been doing, that I'm a lot more connected to my soul than I thought I was,
Yeah.
and that's the good news, but the I wouldn't say the bad news, but the overwhelming news about that is that, oh crap, my soul is there's a lot of stuff, that my soul is causing me to do, right? It's like, wow, right? It's
Right.
like,
Well, it's just like me. I mean, when I developed Spin Frogs back in 2017, it's 3 years old this June. And when I
congratulations.
developed it, thank you, it was a gift. It was, I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I was coming out of a really bad business relationship and I was lost and I didn't know what to do. And I sat in meditation and silence for 2 whole days. No TV, no radio, no husband. I kicked him out of the house. It was just
Right.
me
Right.
and quiet. And what came out was Spin Frogs and the work that needed to be done. And
Right.
for me, my singular mission is to help as many small business owners as I can
Right.
have a plan for their marketing so that they can succeed. Because if we fail to plan, we plan to fail.
Right.
And we have to have a plan and a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, so that we have something to fall back on. This
Right.
whole coronavirus thing happened and things shut down and we couldn't go out and do anything. We couldn't go do anything. We were locked at home for 3 months. Well, there are a lot of businesses that are closed now because of that, because they didn't have a plan A, a plan B, or plan C, or plan D. We can't plan for coronavirus, right?
Right.
But what we can do is make a quick pivot. And the only way to make a quick pivot is to have a plan
Right.
to begin with, to know where we can make that change.
Right.
And if we are a business that has that in place, those are the businesses that we're seeing thriving right now. Those
Right.
restaurants that figured out, if I pre-cook the food to a certain point and then my guests can come pick up the food and then finish the cooking process. Or if I do something like a Blue Apron where I get all of the ingredients and the recipe together and I put it in a box and they buy the meal and they cook it as a family together. How
Right.
beautiful is that? You're creating experiences for your guests that they would have never had. They would have never
Right.
had if Corona didn't happen. But you had to be able to look at what you have and say, okay, we can shift this way, or we can
Right.
shift it over here. And we're still going to be able to serve our clients
Right.
and maintain a footprint, even if they can't come into our physical space.
Right. I definitely appreciate it, and I am a planner myself, but there's something recently, I think I shared it yesterday, about plan. I'm taking on right now that there's not a plan A, plan B, all these other plans. There's just one plan.
Right.
And my awareness of that plan is the journey, I guess, is the job, right? and
Yeah.
and I and I think within my business, or within my relationship, the more that I refer to my understanding of the plan, then no matter what comes up, then I can make the pivots, make the moves, and I really believe that, like you were saying, that some of the restaurants, that when COVID-19 happened, they had to decide, this is the plan, this is how I was working this plan. How can I still do this plan, differently?
Right.
And I think too often when we look at, you know, the backup plans and all that other kind of stuff, it takes us from the plan. you know, and so if we stay within the plan, then we can make the impact that we want. Then we can stay consistently to that. And I think, and like I said, I'm just embracing this is now because, I always have this. I refer to a quote that's attributed to Mike Tyson. It's like, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And then it's like, all right, what are we going to do? Right.
We
You
were
know?
all sucker punched. Every single one of us got really sucker punched with this COVID thing.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
And so, but if we stay on the plan, no matter if we get, socked in the face or in the gut or, or whatever, we're still on it. And
So
we'll,
that's
we'll
where the
find
why
this way.
comes into play, right? So
Right.
I identified in that weekend, my mission is to help as many small business owners as possible have a better plan for their business when it comes to their marketing. Well, what does that look like? Well, that
Right.
plan is pretty nebulous, right? With the what does that look like? And what
Right.
it looks like is a variety of different things, being on different people's podcasts, launching my own podcast, doing a course, doing live events. Well, live
Right.
events got waylaid. I can't go publicly
Right.
speak if I can't have a room full of people.
Right.
But I can do podcasts, and I've been on countless podcasts since this COVID thing started.
Right.
And we launched a course in March. Well, we were already planning on doing that. It was already recorded. It took us
Right.
a year to record it and lay it out. So it was already part of the plan. It was part of
Right.
the plan, right? It wasn't a plan that I necessarily was going to enact right now, but because it was part of the plan, I could shift and
Right.
enact it now. And that's what
Right.
we did.
Right.
But we have to be able to identify our why and know what our why is so that we can know what the plan is for our business.
Right.
And I think a lot of business owners get into business because they love what they do, but that's really the end of it. They love what they do.
Right. Right.
And then what?
And yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? The song, Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? Right.
Right.
So no, that's correct. But because it just
Thanks for the earworm.
look, love conquers all, but sometimes love gets in the way, right? Sometimes, it causes us to think, and or not think, about the plans or the things that we need to, to do.
It can
And,
totally interrupt a process. It can interrupt a creative process. But
Right.
here's the thing. I would say if your plan is centered in love
Right.
for the impact that you want to have,
Right.
then love will never distract. It will only lead you in the right direction.
Got it. I get that. Yeah, that's good. Like I get that, but sometimes you know, we throw that love around, too often. We just kind of, create our craziness and just put love on it, right? And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy love now, right?
Wouldn't that be like a one night stand or something?
Right.
Squirrel.
That's hilarious. Squirrel. That's hilarious. I don't know what impact you're talking about there, Missy, right?
Not the one that we meant to. No.
Right. So that is, that is fun. I really believe that we could talk about this for hours because there's so many things that are important to us or that mean a lot and that we want to make an impact in. What are some things or in the as we're wrapping up here, how do you think that I don't know what's something that people can take away from this conversation?
Yeah. So I think something that people can take away from the conversation is be okay being yourself. First of all, you have to identify who you are and be self-aware enough to know who you are and what you stand for.
Great.
And then be brave enough to show what you stand for to other people in a respectful way, because not everybody is going to agree with you, and that is okay. They don't have to. It's not their job to agree with you. It is only their job to have their own self-awareness about what they believe. That's the only job any of us has, is to
Right.
know what we stand for and what we believe in and be brave enough to share that with the world. Then the next thing we need to do is identify what is the legacy, what is the impact that we want to leave on the people in our life. Could be on our customers, could be on our employees, it could be on our family, it could be on our friends. What impact do we want to leave in them? What
Right.
impression do we want to leave in them? Because someday you are going to die. Someday I'm going to die. We're going to die. It's the human cycle, right?
Right.
What do we want them to think and feel about us after we're gone?
Right.
And if we can identify what that is our impact. And if that is coming from a place of love and joy and understanding and acceptance, then that's the only place any of us wants to live. Isn't that a beautiful world to live in?
Right. No, I got
So
it.
we have to start there. We have to start with being more self-aware, being brave enough to be ourself, and being willing to hear somebody else's self and love them for them being themselves.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's how we can make the impact. Now there's your contact information and the course. Now is that like a DIY course, or is there like a date and time and all of that? How does
Yeah.
that show up?
Yeah, so the PGG course is playing the Google game. It's the DIY to search engine optimization. And it's built for small businesses who don't have thousands of dollars a month to spend on an agency to do search engine optimization on their website. The course itself is pre-recorded. It's 10 hours plus of recorded content that they can watch anytime. They can rewatch, they can rewind it, they can fast forward it and get to a different
Right.
section if they need to. So it's a work at your own pace. It doesn't expire. I have it set to be evergreen. They can come and watch it anytime they want to. So you get into your website and you're working away, and all of a sudden you get stuck. Go back to that module and rewatch it. Totally cool. And then right now it's on sale. We have it on sale for $79.99. And you get access to the mastermind as well, which is everybody who is taking the course, all has access to each other, which creates a support group and a focus group. So if you're on your website and you've made a change to the site and you're like, I don't know if this is sending the message that I want to send or having the impact that I want it to have, who
Right.
can I ask? Well, you can ask the people who are in the course with you to take a look at the page and give you feedback on that, which is going to help you to know if what you've created is leaving the right impression or leaving that impact that you're looking for or not, so that you can
Got
make
it.
the tweaks.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much. This has been um, an impactful conversation, right?
it sure
It's
has.
like right no, and it's like how sometimes I like to say that I like to reconnect with people from that I haven't spoken to in a long time. The reality is that we have not disconnected.
Never.
We just basically became aware of our connection and then acted on that. So I am just so glad to be connected to you, and thank you very much for being here today. And we'll say our goodbyes in the green room, but this has been great. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me here, and I hope that everybody who tuned in got some value and I left an impact on them. And I look forward to connecting with everybody and having conversations with them and developing the relationships, because we are all just streams. We're all just a bunch of streams. And sometimes your stream comes in contact with mine and sometimes it doesn't. And
Right.
that's okay. And it's all about having that life and being able to be able to have these conversations and reconnect with people. So thanks for having me here, Bill. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Terry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The impact. It really is causing me to look at today. My today, the things that I have scheduled, and the things that I want to be available to, and really look at what do I want to leave as a legacy for the time that I have today, that will be sitting with me, and maybe it'll show up in my actions. I think it was reinforced that our awareness of ourselves, our awareness of our why, our awareness of our loves, is a key to understanding and living in our impact. The world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow.